Hello, dear students. Welcome back. Now we will begin with the line number 61. It the quatrain begins as the applause of listening synods to command, the threats of pain and ruin to despise, to scatter plenty over a smiling land and read their history in a nation's eye. This quatrain should be understood in continuation with the previous one because here the poet Thomas Gray is suggesting that if there were any equal opportunity, these poor people could prove their potential, their capability in various fields. But he says that if he says that if they were given any opportunity, then it may be possible that one of them can become a great ruler and who can receive applause and can command his people or his army or his senators also. Because if one of them could have become a great ruler, then he would have heard his praise from through the mouths of his senators, whom he uh, whom he will command. But there is always a plus positive and negative side of everything. So in the first line, he says that it will be very fortunate if uh, they were like kings. But at the same time, a king has uh, also to face the threats of pain and ruin also because he has to defend his kingdom from the other enemies. So he has both a favorable as well and an adverse situation being in that position to scatter plenty over a smiling land and read their history in a nation's eye. And here the applause suggests a shallow and self-serving motive. Moreover, scattering plenty implies that the wealth of a nation can be squandered by its ruler. Gray may be suggesting that having power is not as desirable as it seems. And the last line of this stanza is an example of run-on line. It continues into the following line, into the next line of the next stanza. He says that their lot forbade, nor circumscribed alone their growing virtues, but their crimes confined, forbade to wade through slaughter to a throne and set the gates of mercy on mankind. The first line of this stanza continues the thought of the previous enjambed line. It abruptly reminds us that the conditions of the poor forefathers of this village, they forbade them from becoming great rulers. But Gray underscores the shock of this idea by abruptly interrupting the flow of the line with a caesura. Building on the idea of the previous stanza, the speaker, the poet Thomas Gray, notes that if poverty prevented the country laborers or farmers from acquiring the virtues of great and powerful people, it also prevented them from committing the crimes often associated with these rich people or rulers, and especially with those people who hold political power. In particular, it prevented them from engaging in the bloody activities associated with the war. So, here he says that this is the positive aspect. It can be a positive aspect because if their Lord forbade them to become great, it also detained, their Lord also detained them to indulge into those activities which may brought uh, defame or profanation to their name, because it prevented them to commit uh, a lot of bloodshed. Slaughter means a lot of bloodshed in the war, because if they have to defend their uh, throne, they have to fight against their enemies, and in this way they will be cruel and will shut their eyes towards uh, the standards on of mankind, in which mercy is also an important emotion. Then he says the struggling pangs of conscience, truth to hide, to quench the blushes of ingenious shame, or heap the shrine of luxury and pride with incense kindled at the muse flame. Again, Thomas Gray is hinting at those things which are associated with the people who become who are rich, who are holding a political position in any senate or in any kingdom, or who are very knowledgeable. So he says that there are some truths which one has to repress or suppress in his own heart, because if he or she speaks that truth, it may be pernicious for him or her. So uh, they have to resist the truth when they were conscious of it. They have to stifle their conscience. अपनी अंतरात्मा को जो है वो उनको दबाना पड़ता है. एक गाना याद आ रहा है, एक मूवी में आया था, होठों पे ऐसी बात दबा के चली आई, खुल जाए वही राज तो दुहाई है दुहाई. सो इवन व्हेन यू नो द ट्रुथ, you have to stifle your conscience and have to suppress or repress that truth, because revealing that truth may endanger your life. To quench the blushes of an ingenious shame, it means to pay no heed to the shame that they feel, or to overcome all their finer feelings, or heap the shine of luxury and pride with incense kindled at muse flame. So it may be possible that they have poetic talent, and they use their poetic talent to flatter the wealthy and the proud. So the poet has in mind the common practice among 18th century authors of seeking the patronage of influential persons. So they used to flatter those people, those who are rich, those who are in power, so that they can get shelter. So he says that at least they these poor people, or these poor farmers or laborers, they were saved from these uh, these things also. If they were not fortunate enough in their life, but because of their misfortune, they they were saved from some other things also, which he has catalogued here in these quatrains. And then he says, far from the madding crowd's ignoble strife, their sober wishes never learn to stray along the cool sequestered wheel of life. They kept the noiseless tenor of their way. So this is what is needed in this postmodern world, because everywhere there is a cutthroat competition, and then people they compare their life with the lives of other people who are prosperous, and then they find there is something lacking, and they become very jealous and sometimes envious. And then some people they get into depression also. But such is not the case with these poor people or the laborers, because they kept themselves away from this mad business or mad activities of the other people who are blind, who are part of a blind crowd. They had their sober wishes. and their sober wishes never deviated from the right path. So they kept on living a very satisfied and simple way of life. Okay, that is why he says that they kept their cool, sequestered way of life. So they kept the noiseless tenor. Noiseless really applies to kept, the meaning being quietly kept to the course. Whatever they have to do in their life, they performed their duties or responsibilities without being deviated. I am here reminded of a story by a world renowned writer. Uh, the title of the story is How Much Land Does a Man Need? It is written by Leo Tolstoy. So, this story is about a poor farmer who, because he was ambitious in his life, he fell prey at the hand of devil, and he lost his life because he deviated from his path. He was living a peaceful and contented life, but because of the lalach which he had in his mind, the greed which he had in his mind, he lost his life. So the main thing which these people have taught to the readers is that one must keep to the line uh, of a peaceful way of life, because if you want to live peacefully, then you have to focus on what you have, and you must be contented with what you have. Again, I can quote one example from P.B. Shelley's Ode to Skylark, to a Skylark, where he says that we look before and after and pine for what is not. So why should we bother about all these things which we do not have? Rather, we should be living in the present and be happy with what we have. And with if we have that kind of mentality, if we have that kind of thinking, sober thinking or noble thinking, we can live peacefully, and we can die peacefully. What though people may feel that you have done nothing in your life, but if rich people cannot sleep at night, it means they are sick, while these poor farmers and laborers, जैसे ही उनका सर दिन भर की थकान जो वो काम करते हैं, जैसे वो घर पर लौट के आते हैं और जैसे वो सोते हैं, उनको नींद आ जाती है। तो अगर चैन की नींद अगर कोई सो सकता है तो वो यही है। इसलिए कहते हैं कि कंपैरिजन नहीं करना चाहिए। एवरी वन हैज़ गॉट इट्स वैल्यू इन द सोशल हायरार्की। So if rich people they feel that these poor forefathers of this village, or the poor farmers or laborers, they are nothing in front of them, they should not be that much arrogant. Okay, so this is all about these four quatrains of this elegy. Thank you for listening me carefully.